in times of uncertainty, the well-being of your loved ones becomes your top priority.
Days of heavy rains across the southern state of Rio Grande do Sul, triggering massive floods.
Mandatory evacuations are in place in areas around Houston, Texas, as a major river there quickly rises.
And when the world feels unpredictable, MonkeyWorksPrep.com is here to help you secure peace of mind. Through our affiliate program with My Patriot Supply, MonkeyWorksPrep.com provides you with the supplies to prepare for any situation. From long-term food supplies to smaller prepping kits, you will have everything you need to take care of your family. Because knowing you're prepared is more than just planning. It's about spending time without worry, knowing your loved ones are taken care of. Visit MonkeyWorksPrep.com today.
All right. Hey, welcome, folks. Mil-Spec Ops Monkey here. It's going to be your SITREP. It's Juneteenth. That is 6/18/2024. So we get into the deets of today. We're going to talk about nukes. We're going to talk about flashbang. Oh, by the way, if you're not familiar with why I call him flashbang, it's because that particular device, if you don't know what that is, this is what breachers use before they go into a room, take down the bad guys. But the device is tossed into the room, right? It explodes, and it makes the person in the room disoriented. All right, so they get ears ringing. They can't really see well. They're kind of dizzy. Just knocks you out of into a daze, should I say? And that's thus flashbang. That's Joe Biden. He is in a continuous, perpetual daze. So that's where he gets the name. So if you've been asking, what is flashbang? I know there's some folks that still probably just ride along and don't really understand why I call him that. So kind of like the same reason I call the Brown Zone the Senior Living Center. Okay. And then, of course, we got Bob Marley. And if you're not familiar with why the Vice President Harris, is called Bob Marley, it is because she is from Jamaica and she likes to hit the hooch, if you know what I'm saying. And thus the cackling laugh and the munchies. So let's do this. Let's bounce on over here to the Mini as we get into the deets. We're kicking it off in Skyglass as always, and you'll just notice this is very busy. 206 aircraft up over the United States right now. I have stripped almost 200 trainers out of that equation. So the big key takeaways, back it up just a little, are going to be your high altitude intel gathering balloons. That's not one. That's Western Global. Sorry. There it is. I knew it was up there in that top left corner. You know, these are 80,000 feet up. That's pretty high altitude. You got some lower altitude ones here, still well above commercial aviation traffic. That one's at 47.5. This one is on the descent. It's at 52.4. I have others that are out there. We just don't see them, but these are the ones that are transmitting where we can actually see them through the tracker. So let's talk H-60s right now. Currently up over the United States, 48 H-60s. We can strip out probably about 10 out of that equation. So 38, most of them concentrated up here in the Northeast, around DC, etc. H-60 Blackhawks, those are helicopters. We drop down, and now we're going to talk air refuelers. 24 KC-135s currently up over the United States. Add to that 10 767-300s. And it's pretty active coast to coast. And notice you got some down out in this neck of the woods. And that is probably because the Ruskies are out there doing exercise stuff, or at least they were. They're in Cuba, etc. So we'll look a little closer at the general area. If we back these out, you will see there is quite a bit of traffic down over the Caribbean right now. Yeah, let me just kind of zoom in and get us over. There you go. And now you can see a couple C-17s. There's the base commander coming out of Guantanamo Bay. And a couple NAs. Those would be things like Navy P-8s. They like to fly as NA quite a bit. One of the only aircraft out there that actually have a rolling hex code, which means they can kind of change it on the fly. They can make their aircraft look like something that's really not. So that airplane can be very covert if it needs to be. So, but yeah, you can see Florida all the way down in the Caribbean, very active, right? Okay, now let's do this. I'm going to get away from this aspect. We're going to get into our watch list and all the other areas that we like to look at. Just note, again, you can see these two high altitude mil intel balloons. And then we've got low altitude drones. We have a sea of intelligence gathering, or the ISR aircraft down in Southern California. And then this one is R-135, looks to be headed out towards the East Coast, kind of on that flight trajectory. We'll see if it continues on throughout the day. We see we see some of the CIA birds up. We see the E6, another R-135, and E2, which it's a little small platform, AWACS, so right, advanced warning. And then we get over here to Europe, and you can see just it's pretty busy with a lot of little things like the E3 Sentry. Again, advanced early warning. We got 3 of those up right now. A little concerning. Right? We talk nukes. This is the one that's out there tracking that stuff. Very interesting what this aircraft can do, because not only does it look for nukes, it is tracking everything from marine vessels on the ocean to aircraft in the sky to just a ton of different things that this thing can do. It also does man in the middle, those perfect little man in the middle circles. We'll talk about that here a little further in just a minute when we get into the AWACS. But for now, let's get into the intelligence community. And we'll start off here in the United States. It has been a little lighter than what we are normally accustomed to seeing. You'll see a couple things bouncing out of Texas down near Fort Hood. Some things down to the southern end of Arizona towards Yuma. You can see a little bit of activity there across the United States, but that really isn't the big one. The big one is this: 5 days worth of intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance all the way up to the border of Russia, the northern border of Russia, down obviously around Kaliningrad, all along the border along Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, down to Constanta, out towards the Black Sea right here, south of Crimea. And then, of course, that little boxed-in view that is looking very closely at Romania, Serbia, Kosovo. You can see a little blip bouncing out there in around Riyadh. And then down into Asia, you can see Philippines and Southeast Asia. All right, there is that aspect. Now let's talk sub-hunters. A lot of activity from P8s around. Look at the amount of trace lines going in and out of Malta over towards Constanta. All right, Constanta is the only port that Ukraine has that allows them to basically get things in and out of that region. All right, and then you'll see just stuff out over the Baltic Sea, out towards the North Sea. A lot more active than we've seen in a long time from the Navy sub-hunters, okay, around the Horn there towards Russia. And then, of course, look down. Remember, we were just talking about the Russians down in Cuba doing their exercise stuff. But look at over the last 5 days, the amount of traffic the P8s have done off the East Coast, off into the Gulf of Mexico. Looks like a little blip out to Hawaii, and then down in the southern end of California, and then some stuff up to Alaska. We'll kind of see a trend there when it comes to the Alaska stuff. Seems to have been getting a lot of attention up there. And then you get down to Asia, and we just look the Philippines into Malaysia, that side of the house down to Australia. And notice, too, this one that just kind of blips down towards the Persian Gulf, into Bahrain and into Qatar, UAE area. All right, let's talk drones. Note the transition that goes, that long line, certainly gathering information. Again, this is just part of the ISR platform stuff, right? You add the intel piece, you add the intel balloons, you add this. There is nothing that happens in this country without somebody knowing about it, at least collecting the data on it. And they always have the data stored for whenever they need to put something on you, right? All right. And then low altitude drones up there to the north, Europe. And then you can see the high altitude Q4. It kind of breaks out towards Crimea. And then low altitude out over the Mediterranean north of Libya. All right. That's because the Ruskies are there. And a little bit of drone activity. You can see some stuff popping out of Okinawa, but look at the Japan and out towards the Sea of Japan even over to the Atlantic side, and then some very high altitude trace pings up there. Right, that gives them eyes way deep into China. All right. Okay, let's talk R135 for a second. Now, the first piece I want to concentrate on is this one right here. This is just going to be a mass comms. All right. Now, we'll take that away. Let's look at the nuke sniffers over the last 30 days. The reason I'm pointing this out is because this tells a story where they are looking for nukes or sniffing for nukes should be a concern to all of us, all right, because it is branched out. Notice the traffic up into Alaska. Notice it down over Texas towards the Texas border in the central United States. And then notice the layers that they do over England. Now, if I were a Brit, that would certainly have my attention because that's very concerning that they are looking for nukes, smelling for nukes inside the UK. That's pretty astounding. So, okay, there's that point. Now, let's look at the last 30 days of, let me take that one out. We're going to go SIG Intel. This is just basically gathering information on anything that's transmitting, right? From missile defense systems to cell phones to satellites to anything and everything that's putting out a signal. This aircraft is grabbing it. And you can see out towards the Black Sea, very heavy around Kaliningrad, up towards Russia along the Belarus borders, etc. And then just notice too the amount of traffic down over South Korea. That's listening to everything that little Rocket Man is talking about. Then you get here to the United States, and this, you just see the one that blips down. That was a very recent one towards Cuba. That's because the Russians are down there. So dips down, just does a little gather and comes back. But you can see, looking at something either to the south or to the north from that standpoint. Remember, these are side listening devices. And then look at the beaten path down up over Montana, etc. So if there is anything going on up there from a cartel, militia, whatever it might be, they're listening, all right? They're gathering anything, text messages, you name it, files, they're doing it all. And then notice this one that blips down over that southern side of California, all right? Okay. Now, this is going to be your E6, so this is TACAMO, Take Charge, Move Out, U.S. Navy platform, talking to your nukes on your subs, and just notice the locations, right? Off the East Coast, off the left coast, down off of the Mexico. Now, in a minute, we're going to look at some of the traffic from a vessel perspective, and this will make a little more sense. Now, this is going to be your AWACS, and just notice the man in the middle circles, all right, over Georgia. And then notice this off the East Coast, right? Remember, they're tracking ships as well. Yeah, checking for nukes. A little bit worried, aren't they? Look down here, same place the R135 sniffer was. All right, you get over to Europe, and you'll just notice man in the middle up there heading towards Sweden. All right, and then very, very close to Kaliningrad. When you see that perfectly round circle, it is becoming a cell tower in the sky. So anything that's transmitting inside Kaliningrad is probably talking to that airplane right there, and they're just gathering it all up. All right, and broken trace out over the Mediterranean. Again, these are AWACS, right? Advanced warning systems, but they have so many more capabilities that are just well beyond just checking for nukes. You can see that one heads out towards Guam, it looked like, and then down south into Australia. And a little bit of a flurry activity there in Northern Territory. And then get down towards Sydney, very light compared to what we normally see in Australia. So, all right, that's going to be your AWACS. Let me get back over here to the Mini. And let's talk Omni, because this is going to tee up a couple of things. One, the big focus and takeaway is going to be on the migrant side, all right, the illegals. This is important because starting off, see a little flurry there into Japan. Yeah, that's troop related, very, very likely. You can see some stuff coming in and out of India. Not really sure what to make of that. This isn't just Omni, by the way. This is Air Transport International, a bunch of Amerijet, like a whole bunch of different ones. Okay. But notice in and out of Poland, right? The stuff that you typically would see with troops all the way up into Finland and Norway, Sweden kind of area, right? You can see a flurry of activity in and out of Ramstein, down into Spain, okay? And then you get over to the United States and just look at this insane amount. Look at the traffic going into Hawaii out of Southern California. Notice the thick traces going from Southern Cal up to Washington State area. But then where it really starts to tell a story is this right here. Do you see the amount of flights in and out of Central America and South America? The flurry of flights that go in and out of this area, bringing them back into the United States. Note this right here. That'll come back into play here in just a minute. But notice this. Let me get in a little deeper. Do you see this coming out of Haiti? Where's it going? Central America down to Panama area, it looks like. Yeah. Are they flying Haitians out of Haiti down to Central America so that they can roll right through up to our southern border of Texas? Quite possibly. If you notice, too, that everybody has calmed down quite a bit when it comes to, the southern border is fine. Well, you know what? The southern border is actually in Canada at this point because these flights are bringing them in droves into the United States. And guess what? It doesn't just stop there. There are C-17 military flights and Camber flights, etc., bringing them over to the United States as well. In fact, Fort Dix is still bringing in 2,000 Afghanis a month into that location and then rehoming them throughout the United States. Okay, so, yeah, they just get quiet on it because the media is controlling the narrative, all right? So let's do this. Let's bounce over. We talked about Omni. Let's get into some of the news items that are very concerning. But check this out. Nuclear arms spending soars as global tensions swell. Yeah, who's going to strike first? That's going to be the big thing. But they're saying that the spending on atomic weapon arsenals have increased by 1/3 in the past 5 years. But you get down a little further, it says that the world's 9 nuclear-armed states jointly spend $91 billion on their arsenals last year. So this is a huge, huge uptick. And we are at breakneck speed headed into a nuclear arms race yet again, if not nuclear war, okay? Doesn't stop there, though. Let's jump over here to Little Rocket Man, and we'll come back to this main piece right here. We want to talk North Korea first. Look at this. And this is a huge concern given the fact that this is just in the last year, 2023. North Korea added 20 nukes to its arsenal in 2023. North Korea is a tiny little place. For them to have that many nukes and have a crazy man at the helm, it's not any better than Iran, okay? Either one of those two could certainly trigger a very huge nuclear event. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with this. But we certainly need to keep eyes on this because that puts a lot of things into reach. And if they throw those onto a submarine, that puts the United States well into reach, okay? Now, this is the other piece that is very concerning. We'll start talking about flashbang a little bit. But look at this report that came out on Breitbart. 7.4 million known migrants are living across the U.S. while awaiting deportation. That's 7.4 million, outpacing 2 years of U.S. births. So that tells you we have slowed down on our birth rate to the point that the migrants coming into our country are exceeding the amount of children being born in our country. That is not a good data point, all right? Okay, let's move on as we get into flashbang. See, he is off doing yet again the campaign reception. You know, I keep seeing a lot of talk and chatter that he's about to drop out of the race. It's going to be a late 11 o'clock hour drop if that happens. Very interesting if indeed it does happen. But you will notice that there's somebody sticking very close to his side this entire time, and that is the Kenyan, okay? And so let's get into some of this. Check this out. This is a video where, you know, flashbang is actually out at the G7 summit, and there are actually a lot of concerns that this guy has basically just kind of, he's not there. He is fading quickly. This is why a lot of talk about him dropping. But look at this. No sound. I'm just going to show you. You can see him start to wander off with the other G7 people that are watching the rest of the global elite cronies. But look at him. What is he? He just fades out. Ladies like, yo, back over here. Come on, pay attention. Anyway, yeah, pretty sad. Pretty sad state. We are probably the weakest looking country in the world. And I think all the global leaders right now are looking at this individual thinking, what in God's name have they done in the United States? Okay, now look at this. This is another one. Yet another moment. And this is beyond kind of senior moment. These are kind of the Mitch McConnell freezes that we saw that come from some type of an injury. Okay. But look at this. Here he is. He appears to freeze, and then Obama escorts him off the stage during a star-studded fundraiser. But here it is right here. Let's just going to go back, hit the replay. I've got it silenced again as he is just kind of a couple thumbs up from the Kenyans. Kenyan, sorry. And then he's just locked up. He's just standing there. And Barack sees it. He gets his attention. He says, come on, man. Let me get you over here, get you an ice cream. Yeah. Now, hey, one thing I want to point out while we're looking at this, notice right here on the floor are arrows pointing off stage. All right. That you just can't make up. Nobody needs to know that you exit stage left or stage right with arrows. That's a common, were you going to walk off the front of the stage? Well, I mean, he may, but typically, people just go, all right, when you're done on the podium, come to the left. And there's somebody over on that side that's waving you on. All right, come on. And then he couldn't tell you, great job, everything. Oh, you did yeah, right. But look as he goes, notice right here. You see these? These are arrows pointing for him to exit the stage so he knows where he is going. Absolutely incredible. So the freeze, that was one thing, but arrows to show you this is the way you go to get off the stage. Just follow the red arrows. All right. And believe me, that's on top of somebody talking in his ear because, they're telling him, everything in his ear as well. Okay. Now, this is an important piece because notice the locations. These are going to be your carrier fleets throughout. I say carrier fleet. It's a fleet tracker, the Navy fleets. Many of these are carriers, but just notice you got the Carl Vinson off the left coast, all right? And you've got this one parked off the east coast. Those two don't seem to be going anywhere. They seem like maybe they are indeed active off our coastlines for protection of the United States, clearly. Then you see this. What is the George Washington doing down here? All right. We don't have any type of NOTAMs that are there. We got something down here further south, but this... The fact that they have parked the George Washington off this area is a little bit interesting. And then, of course, notice here the Eisenhower is still in the Red Sea. All right, remember it was here in the Mediterranean. It kind of moved around. Right now, as of the 17th, that's yesterday, it is parked out here in the Red Sea, or at least on the move. All right, and then you will see we've got our fleet out here to the Pacific side of the house as well. But just an interesting data point for you, okay? Okay, now this is the NOTAMs. The biggest thing that I see, let me back it up even further, is just this big box out to the southern end of Greenland over Iceland. And of course, Europe is, as always, just slam-packed with a lot of stuff. And I do find it interesting that the turbulence seems to actually follow almost the line between Iran and Baghdad. It's coincidence, but still, nonetheless, probably mountains or something that are causing that. Okay, going down to Africa. I don't see anything down here that catches my eye. This is where the George Washington is parked out off of this side. This is a little further south. We'll click on that just to see what it is. Temporary restriction doesn't give me any details. Surface to 45,000 feet. So, okay, moving on. Over to Biggs, we do have some stuff inbound. Just notice Sun Country coming in and out of Minneapolis and then it's headed to Portsmouth from there. Very likely this is troop related. And then this one is inbound from Hartsfield. Don't know where that is going to end up going. I don't see it on the board up here yet, but that is coming in from Hartsfield. So more than likely that's a deadhead flight based, Delta's based out of Atlanta. So could be a deadhead, 757-200 coming inbound. All right, over to Dover. Just notice the amount of 747s on the board. Atlas Air. Go down a little further. Coletta, all inbound from around the United States. And then this UPS coming in, 747-800 from home base operations. Then they start to exfil out, and I see two Atlas Airs, both headed to Ramstein. This Camber flight, 747, headed to RZE Poland, forward operating base. And then a C-17 outbound as well. Okay, this is going to be your Brits. This is basically their Camber flights. A400, you can see that's a little small F900 aircraft, but this is a little bit of a larger kind of C-130 size. C-17, kind of in between the two. Pretty active. Let's look at the map and see if it gives me any locations on here. Yeah, you can see rolling out of the Middle East, and looks like we've got one coming out of Europe. Yep, coming out of Europe, Nuremberg, it looks like, and then two here in the United States. Not uncommon for them to be in the U.S., by the way. Okay, Camber flights. This one's coming out of Rota, and then in Spain, and then it looks like Osan Air Base. So out in Asia, we've got something rolling out of that location. All right, Ramstein. Looking at Germany closely, you can see this is an MD-11 coming in from Rickenbacker. That is going to be troops arriving. And then notice that it heads over to RZE. So you're now sending some troops up to the forward operating base in that location. Now, interesting piece from the German perspective, and that is they've just introduced, we talk a lot about sea crates, right? And these containers that have all kinds of different things they can hide in them. This one's an interesting one because this actually launches like 100 drones. And you can park it on a cargo container or any kind of vessel out over the water. You can bring it into port and park it in the middle of somebody's country. And this little dude, it launches these out of these little mini launch tubes. And then these are loitering munitions. So they kind of hang above the area. And then when they see something they need to hit, they basically do their thing. So it's just another game changer of things that they're adding to the battlefield. You can see a little closer version of this, but yeah. Anyway, just one more thing we got to worry about. All right. Now, RZE Poland, that's here. This is Ukraine over here on this side, but just notice that it is kind of tucked down into that lower corner of Poland. But we come in to see what has been inbound, and just notice this is today. All right, MD-11 from Ramstein, so bringing in troops. 767 from Kaunas. And this right here, more than likely troops. So you've got more troops coming in. Go down a little further and see if we get any more. Another Camber flight, 747 400 coming in from Dover. So what I'm seeing is we had a surge recently. We saw it kind of subside. And now I'm seeing what looks to be troops coming in behind equipment. All right. And then you can just see you got Western Global MD-11 departing. So that's in there. You've got a base commander out of Wiesbaden, Germany. Drop down, Coletta Air leaving. All right, so Coletta's leaving. Or not Air, but Coletta. You've got a lot of Atlas Airs coming in. So very active. Again, look, this one's leaving. A scheduled departure, Camber flight. So looks like we got a big uptick going on there in the region. Now, we talk about peace, and we keep seeing NATO countries or people trying to bring it in. You'll notice, remember, Macron came in and basically tried to bring peace to the table. Didn't happen, got shot down. And but this one here, notice that Zelensky and the Western leaders reject the Putin ceasefire proposal at the Swiss Peace Summit, who, by the way, just so you know, the Swiss Peace Summit, I'm pretty confident that the Russians were not invited to that. So it is just strictly the NATO countries that showed up to try to come up with a peace deal, but they all reject it. So they don't want peace. That's the reality. This has been a long time in the making, and they're ready to go toe-to-toe with Russia. They think that we can take them. And yeah, we are far superior when it comes to our country and our weaponry from a military perspective. But you got to go to your Bible. And I will tell you, Russia's still here when it comes to Ezekiel 38, as is Iran, and so is Turkey. So just don't lose sight of that, folks. Okay, now look at this here. Hundreds of Russian troops are cut off at this chemical plant as Ukrainian glide bombs rain down on them. Now, they're saying that they've been striking them using Ukrainian aircraft. I will just, and the whole purpose behind this is just to point out the fact that the F-16s are not there. I don't think you're going to be there anytime soon. They're probably parked in Poland if they have them, trying to get them ready. And it's just, you're going to see, if anything goes in the air, it's going to be these. The minute F-16s hit into the region, then we'll hear a lot about it, okay? But I think we're still a ways off just because, they've got to train these guys how to fly this Western equipment they've never flown before. And, oh, by the way, like I've mentioned in the past, it's not just teaching them how to fly something that is, like a Formula One sports car in the air, all right? A race car, sorry. But you have to learn weapon systems, electronic warfare, just all kinds of different things that come into play. And, we'll know. We'll start to see them because they'll get shot down pretty quickly. All right. And let's get over here to the Hill. This one is just an interesting data point for you because Russia's hybrid warfare spills into NATO, raising new fears. They're just talking about this gray zone type of attacks, mainly cyber stuff, right? They're having huge issues with GPS, aircraft that are being basically blocked where they're jammed up and they have no GPS stuff working commercial-wise. That's a big deal. And it's just a lot of different ways that Russia is coming at the rest of the world with some of their stuff is just straight up old school, okay? But the electronic warfare side, cyber attacks, et cetera, they can do a lot of damage around the world if they really want to, go that route. Now, speaking of GPS jamming, this I find as a very interesting piece, okay? This is the latest in terms of, if you look at the red, all of this red that you see in here, that is super high GPS interference. Now, are they geofencing areas? Maybe. They could very well be doing that. Notice that it seems to be completely surrounding this general area up into here. If you look at the rest of the world, there's just very little jamming anywhere other than this particular spot. So that leads me to believe that maybe there's some geofencing that is happening around the region that's wanting people basically to control and maintain this stuff. And, just it's a command and control part of warfare, right? But look at it off of and around Israel. Kind of interesting, especially given what Hezbollah has been doing, etc. But you can see also you get up near Crimea, and it is completely jammed up throughout that entire region, and then out over Romania, etc. So, all right, very busy. Okay, last look here at the Omni Air. We did talk about the last week of Omni flights, but this is just currently in air. And you'll just notice both 767s, and this one's coming out of Travis over to Denver. And then this one, again, this may be migrant related, all right? But this piece here, probably not. I mean, it's coming out of, it comes out of, I think that's France, and coming into the U.S., so don't know. We'll see. All right, and then this is National Cargo. And just notice they have a lot of 747s up, but just when you start to see it going in and out of Hong Kong, nothing to see there. That's going to be commercial related. So it looks like National Cargo is doing a lion's share, kind of like Western Global, same kind of thing. So, all right, listen, that is going to do it for our sit rep today. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your Tuesday. We'll see you here on Thursday. Keep that powder dry, stay frosty for sure. That's it. Be safe. God bless. Monkey out. Artisan handcrafted soaps. Get yours in the Monkey Werx shop today.